Welcome back to Ben Salutes, and when I was a kid, Viacom wasn't run by evil businessmen. There's no doubt about it, the 90s were awesome. I've said it time and time again. The 90s was the best period to be growing up in, because the best programs were airing, and we were there to experience it. The three main stations that kids tuned into were Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and the subject of today's salute, Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon to me is the black sheep of the three main channels I watched growing up. But that doesn't mean it still doesn't offer me programming that I enjoyed then and I still enjoy now. Everybody knows Nick was the first all-kids station. It started by picking up programming from Canada and eventually gained their own programming. So, Nickelodeon became a kid's paradise. One of the main things that led to Nick's success, as well as ticked off parents, was Nicktoons. Nicktoons were, of course, cartoons made originally by Nick. I'm going to look at every Nicktoon I've seen to see if they aged well. Keep in mind, it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of these shows, so I can't give much an opinion on them. But I can give more opinions on ones that I've watched the most. Ren and Stimpy is the cartoon equivalent to a show high on sugar. It was one of the cartoons that pushed the boundaries on what kids shows could get away with. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about this show, so I won't get into detail. It's just an awesome show that gave an example as to why the 90s and Nickelodeon were awesome. It's one of my favorite shows. Rugrats. I used to watch this show all the time as a kid. However, as I grew up, I started to like it less and less. I just don't see the appeal in a show about babies. Good for nostalgic purposes, but it doesn't age well. Boo! Yeah, shut up, you yutzes. Another show that pushed the boundaries. It was full of sexual innuendos and insane plot lines. Definitely a great show for a rainy day. Yes, The Angry Beavers. The story of two beavers, Daggett and Norbert, who live in a dam and go on misadventures. I never had a chance to watch much of this show, but when I did, I highly enjoyed it. A show about a bunch of kids? How could this possibly be good? You'd be surprised because it was. I loved this show so much. What makes this show great is that it's a great example of our childhood. I love the characters, I love the stories, I loved the children characters when I was a kid, but as an adult I can appreciate the adult characters a lot more. I definitely love this show. Moving on to the new age of Nicktoons, we have Invader Zim. Of course, this was also a very whacked out show. And I loved it! Unlike Adventure Time, this is a show that's weird, that's actually a balance of both sanity and insanity. Another one of my favorite shows. They took my squeezing arm! In my opinion, the last great Nicktoon. What I love about this show is that robots are awesome, Jenny is hot, the cluster is awesome, and it can have a great sense of humor. I sure do like a lot of shows that might attract the female audience, don't I? So, there are my thoughts on Nicktoons I watched mostly as a kid. The other shows, like Doug, Cat Dog, and Wild Thornberrys, are shows I didn't care too much for, but I would watch them over anything Nick has these days. And I didn't want to go into SpongeBob because everybody knows my feelings about him. Yes, Nicktoons were awesome. However, channels used to care back then, so Nick had other stuff to offer. Tired of how bad Nick's sitcoms are these days? Well, back then, Nick's sitcoms were the crap. Let's start with one of my favorites, All That. This show was one of the first sketch shows that have an all-kid cast. The show featured a lot of skits that included parodies, original characters, and outrageous plots. The show also helped launch the careers of many performers, such as Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, Amanda Bynes, and Nick Cannon. What made this show great was it appealed to both kids and adults. The kids will love all the outrageous stuff, and the adults would love a lot of the jokes. I love this show because I love sketch comedy, and what made this sketch comedy show great was that a lot of its producers came from In Living Color, which is the best sketch show ever. Also, the skits for this show were very creative and very, very funny. There's Good Burger, Ask Ashley, Loud Librarian, Super Dude, Candy, Earboy, and Vital Information. There is also a lot of one-shot sketches. One of my favorites was when a kid brings a monster to show and tell. Not only that, this is also a show that's theme song would get stuck in your head. All that was a great show that I watched any chance I got as a kid. But then in the 2000s, it became full of untalented people that weren't even trying. But I always remember the golden age for being so epic. Now, all we need are DVD releases. Anyway, after all that, Amanda Bynes went on to start her own show, and we enter The Amanda Show. The Amanda Show was similar to all that, but this show featured a lot of new talent, such as Drake Bell and Josh Peck. The Amanda Show was known for such hilarious sketches as Judge Trudy, The Girls' Room, Tony Pajamas, Mr. Gullible, Block Blister, and of course my favorite, Calling Mr. Oldman. This show contains some of my favorite quotes of all time, such as, "Hey, glass tastes like blood. Amanda, please. Not a problem. You're so hurtful." And, "I like eggs." What was also great about this show was it featured a parody of teen dramas that was called Moody's Point. It basically lampooned how the plot lines for a lot of teen dramas are. It's so hilarious I can't sum it up with words. Well, that's The Amanda Show in a nutshell. Another show I wish could get some DVD releases. Amanda Bynes wasn't also the only teen to gain success after all that. There was, of course, Kenan and Kel. Yes, this is a teen sitcom. But, before you scream into a pillow, this was actually a good teen sitcom. Kenan and Kel was a show where Kenan and his idiot best friend Kel get into bad situation after bad situation after bad situation. This show actually had likable characters, great humor, the plot lines were believable, and the teens were actually the losers. That's right, on a show where the teens are likable, they are the losers. It's funny how most likable characters are always the losers. Anyway, some of the plot lines include the boys getting stuck in a fence, Kel killing Kenan's dad's favorite parrot, and the boys getting stuck in the White House. Talk about creative plots. This show is also home to one of my favorite quotes, "Kel loves orange soda." This show is my favorite teen sitcom Nick made. It's an example of how teen sitcoms should be made. Yes, I know, a lot of these shows were stupid, but they were stupid in a funny way. Nick sitcoms now are just stupid in an annoying way. There's a difference. Just when you thought Nickelodeon could not have any more variety, Nick also had a lot of game shows that kids and adults could enjoy. There was Double Dare, the grossest and most exciting game show ever. Then there was Figure It Out, the show that actually required Nick viewers to use their brains. And then there was Legends of the Hidden Temple, a rare occasion where a game show can be both epic and sometimes scary. On top of all this, Nickelodeon also had Snick, which was a Saturday morning collection of all Nick's best shows summed up in a Saturday night. Another show I'll give a shout out to is Are You Afraid in the Dark, a show that showed Nick wasn't afraid to give your kids the creeps. And there's my salute on Nickelodeon. I know I didn't get to talk about a lot of the shows a lot of you probably wanted me to talk about, but there's just too much, and I don't like a lot of them. Nickelodeon may have been the black sheep of the three main kids channels to me when I was a kid, but I remember it for what it used to be, and how it helped shape my childhood. I just hate looking back on what we used to have as kids, because there's no comparison to what kids have now. I thank God every day I was born when I was, so I was exposed to great things, and Nickelodeon was one of them. Nick now? I only watch it for Power Rangers Samurai. Everything else can go jump in a black hole. I'm Ben, and I'm signing out. Bring out the Dancing Lobsters. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.